Now, we're talking about evolution, now from film censorship to classification. So let's talk about some examples, film examples. Now, how has the Board of Film Censors evolved from the days when it had to insist on cuts on award-winning films like The Accused and The End of the Affair, and you also asked for the removal of Shagged in The Spy Who Shagged Me?
When you talk about The Accused, for example, that's a film that is pre-1991. And it would not have been possible to cut it to a PG rating.
Yeah.
But as soon as 1991 came about, that film could have been re-released in Singapore, but it was too old, so the distributor didn't do that. But certainly that film can be shown on DVD now. Is it available on DVD?
Yes,
yeah. What's the rating on DVD now?
We have reclassified it M18. Yes.
So DVDs of M18 can now be publicly released in Singapore.
M18 is matured 18, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Accused has been reclassified M18. So basically, so anybody who is 18 years old and above can buy the DVD. And as for The End of the Affair, it was reclassified as R21. Yes, yeah, but since there is no video release for R21 films, people here can't get hold of that DVD
I
yet.
see. So can you address some of the criticisms of inconsistencies in the past? For example, there was Irreversible. Yeah, in 2002, it was a film that showed a brutal 10-minute rape scene of Monica Bellucci. It was actually passed uncut.
Well, it's a film I remember quite clearly.
Yeah, me too.
It was a difficult. That's right. It's a difficult film, and it's a film that really shows extremely ugly aspects of life. There's a very prolonged rape scene in that film that's very disturbing. So it is a film that was difficult to make a decision on. But it doesn't show an inconsistency, because clearly it's a film that if it was R21 may not have to be cut. And in that particular film, the artistic merit of the film was a mitigating factor, so that we felt that even though that scene was extremely disturbing, that the film should be left intact. Yeah. And that, I think, is the strength of the system, because the Board of Film Censors doesn't just merely apply the guidelines on a film, but they take a look at other factors in making a decision as well.
So, as Vijay said, you adjust accordingly to its other merits and not just based on any rigid criteria, right?
Probably also needs to be aware that that sometimes it's a distributor or a film producer who is willing to come up with an alternate version of their film in order to get less restrictive rating and reach out to a mass audience. So sometimes it doesn't have to be the BFC telling them that there's something wrong with this film, and we're going to give it a very restrictive rating. Before the BFC gets the film, it's already been edited.
Yes.
Last Caution was one of those. Was an example of one of those films, where the film that the BFC saw was the cut version of that film. The BFC did not request any cuts in that film, but the distributor wanted to release a cut version that was a lot more benign to reach out to a wider audience.
So in this case, there was self-censorship involved.
Well, there is quite a bit of that going on with distributors, because they're trying to make money on a film, and the wider the market that they can reach out to, the greater the potential for them to make good money. So sometimes it's the distributor that does that for a commercial reason. Yeah, and in the case of Last Caution, what happened after that was, I think there was this, the public didn't quite understand why a cut version of the film was shown in the Singapore market. And then later it came out that it was the distributor who submitted that version of the film. And then much later the distributor decided to re-release the film in the uncut version. Yeah, and the system in Singapore does allow films to be released as two different versions.